All right, we saw the movie that escaped from Roland Emmerich's hands, San Andreas, and
I'm sure he had a fun time watching it.
Had his stink all over it, and he had nothing to do with it. That is really shocking. So I did not come into this with high expectations.
Okay,
I don't think anybody
did. Before we
did.
start, I'm just gonna say, it was exactly what I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah.
I mean it.
Hey, lights.
I mean it didn't false advertise. It didn't do anything like that. It was exactly what I thought it was. Very true. So
it is a very prototypic not slasher. It's a very prototypic disaster movie. This is everything that you think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll say this: the first half hour of the film, I was kind of like, you know what? It's not great by any means, but it's got some entertaining stuff, which it does. But man, this movie just got dumber and dumber. And
in very basic ways.
And here's the reason why it's a very Roland Emmerich film. Because it's all about the spectacle and not at all about the characters. The characters are so bland and so generic. And I praise the cast because Dwayne and everyone else, they did the best they could with this crappy dialogue. This crappy script.
The thing about that for me is, and I feel like the people who make these movies are like, well, you're not here for the characters anyways.
Well,
you're here for all the destruction and stuff, which is true.
That is true.
But that doesn't excuse it.
It doesn't mean you can just... you are there for the disaster stuff. That doesn't mean that there should not be any effort put into the characters. Mm-hmm. The special effects, it's all CGI'd. For the most part, pretty top-notch CGI.
Yeah.
All things considering.
Mm-hmm.
There is some really good shots in this film. The best shot in the film, in my opinion, was this long shot of watching a building collapse during an earthquake. There's multiple earthquakes during the movie. One of the earthquakes, this building's collapsing, and it zooms into it and then goes through the window. And you see the inside, and you see everyone in the building as it's collapsing, and you see all the pandemonium going on. That was a very well done shot. Granted, yes, it was all digital, but still, it was a good shot. And you know what? For a PG-13 rated film, there were a lot of scenes when something was happening, and we were all going like, "Ooh, oh!" Like, there's some brutal stuff. Yeah, there were a lot of times when buildings were collapsing, or someone would get a horrific death, and you're just like.
A lot of rocks falling on people and stuff like that. Not Dwayne, actual rocks.
No. Yeah. One thing that this movie did not do right was this. There is a human antagonist in this movie. In a disaster movie. And there is a villain. And he has an extremely anticlimactic death. And it happens halfway into the film. There was no reason for him to be there. And, another thing, Dwayne Johnson's daughter in the movie, you mentioned this and I completely agree. I don't know how, but I feel like as the movie went on, somehow her boobs got bigger and bigger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger. And I feel like I feel like Michael Bay directed her character in this movie.
Yeah, she was there for cleavage.
She was there for
Michael
being
Bay.
The hot chick.
And you know what else?
That was her point.
This movie has Michael Bay levels of shameless product placement.
Yeah.
There's a scene when they land in a baseball field, and you get a big shot of the scoreboard, and you just see just company after company after company. And CNN is all over the film. What else? Just so many different
You can buy
products.
the Ram 1500.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty shameless.
Mm-hmm.
But
hey, at least I can say one thing that they did with this chick that Michael Bay doesn't do. They actually tried to make her sound smart and on top of it.
She was arguably the best character in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's there for her looks, but
she was in charge and she knew how to do these things.
The actress that played her did a really good job.
She did.
Again, the acting is really good.
But she could have just as easily been a guy.
Yeah.
But she was a girl because of cleavage.
Yeah.
Speaking of people knowing what they're doing, if you have ever taken a first aid class, you'll realize that they don't know what they're doing when it comes to first aid. So turn off that part of your brain when you watch this movie. Otherwise, you'll have an aneurysm.
Your brain's already supposed to be off.
There's a lot of things in this movie that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson, by the way, he is a search and rescue pilot. He does a crappy job in this film because he saves 2 people, like his family. There is one scene where he's on the ground and a quake is happening and like a building's about to fall on them, and he directs everybody to like the safe corner. So he saves like a group of people. But other than that, the first half of this movie, he has a helicopter, and he is 100% focused during this earthquake on just getting his wife. There are millions of people that he could be, literally millions of people to choose from, like that are crying for help, and he's got to get my wife, and I'm going to go all the way over here to get my daughter. Screw everyone else.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this, for a movie where millions had to have died, because you are literally watching California just demolish it, just be demolished.
Yep, you're watching
Millions upon millions of people are dying. This is a pretty cheery movie.
Yeah.
It's really not that depressing. I don't know. Is there really anything else to say? It's exactly what you think it's going to be. If you like, I'll say this. If you like disaster movies, if you like, as much as we've been making fun of it, if you like the Roland Emmerich movies, if you like The Day After Tomorrow and whatever else, Twister, if you like those movies, you'll probably enjoy this. It does have entertaining stuff, and it is fairly suspenseful at times. It's very cliche, and that's why
I loved when not to try to spoil anything, but I mean when the daughter was in the boat and they didn't know if she was gonna wake up or whatever, you were like,
I was just waiting. I was just
there
waiting.
we go.
I was waiting for her to cough out that water because there was no way she was dying. Yeah.
My favorite, I gotta say, like, what dialogue moment had to be when the wife was having lunch with the other ex-wife.
Yeah.
And she's like, so your daughter died from drowning, didn't she? What?
That was some of the worst written exposition. Like, wow.
I felt awkward.
Yeah. And she just died, too.
Yeah,
just out the door and then just open it and like, oh, I guess she's dead.
Screw her. She was mean. She brought up the dead daughter.
Yep.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, it's exactly what you think it is.
Yeah, I can't. I'll say this. I can't recommend.
And see, that's the thing. You can't hate it. Because of that.
Well,
you can't
not.
Say, oh, well, that was a terrible movie. Well,
here's the thing.
It's a disaster movie.
This is much better. Comparing it to last year, it is much better than Into the Storm.
Oh,
it is a 1,000 times a better movie than Into the Storm, which is a little unfortunate because at least Into the Storm was hilarious to watch. It was so bad it was funny.
It had the greatest villain.
A tornado that is deliberately trying to kill people, going out of its way to kill people.
Sneaking up on them.
Do I recommend it? No. But at the same time, if you want to check it out, like if you are curious, I'd say, you know what?
I'm not going to like say, oh, don't go see it.
I can't say,
well, if you want to see it, go ahead.
I can't say like, don't see it for the love of God, skip this movie. But at the same time, I can't really recommend it. So at the very most, like maybe just go to like a cheap showing, like a matinee showing.
Yep. It was entertaining.
Yeah, I wasn't bored. Yep. It's almost 2 hours long, and I wasn't bored. Yep. So, all right, that's our review of San Andreas. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.